case it doesn't stream the right way. There we go. We are live. We are officially live in all the different groups. So, hey, how you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Hey guys, I am excited. We've got Dylan here, and I just got back. I was out in Texas. He hosted Social Media Bootcamp 2.0, an amazing event, just an absolute badass event. Well done. But I actually met him at Bill Pipe Sales Power. He and I were in the back of the room and we were talking, and they were all talking about like, you got to get competitive, you got to push, you got to grind, you got to be the best. And I'm like, I appreciate that. I respect it. I know it's a model, and it's like, I can't. And we were talking, like the concept was, is like, yeah, but it's an aversion. It's like, no, I don't have an aversion to it. Like, I don't have any issue with competition. I'm not against competition. I just don't have any energy that comes from it. Like, it doesn't do one thing either positive or negative. I'm in this weird neutral space. And so I was talking with Dylan, and I said, I just want to get your perspective because I love your energy. I said, I want to get your perspective. And he shared some ideas and insights. It just blew my mind. And I was like, okay, whole different concept around this. And I guess before we jump into that, why don't you go ahead and tell the people who are listening a little bit about you, your background, what a badass speaker you are, your back, like some of the stuff you bring in, and then let's
Yeah.
jump in and let's have that conversation.
Yeah. So again, my name is Dylan Shively. Before anything, before speaking, before business, the things that are most important to me are my family. So I have a wife. I have three kids. They're 12, 8, and 2. And the 2-year-old's pretty nuts. My wife right now is actually playing like goalie to make sure he doesn't run in here and steal the show. Anytime we're in the office, he gets excited and he wants to come in here and play music and stuff. But anyway, so my family means most to me, but the business is a very close second because it's a great way for me to help people. So my background is in wireless sales, in car sales, and then prior to that, I had 6 years where I was in the military, so I was in the army, and it was cool, man, because that was my first Bill Pipes event. And I sold cars, but it was new cars. I wasn't like that sleazy sales guy. I wasn't the used car salesman with like the short sleeve button up and the big tie. That wasn't me. Then I got into wireless, and wireless was really interesting because something that it had in common, besides just dealing with people, is understanding that people had stories. And so I learned to become a really good listener. And throughout that time, I would have my own experiences, hear what other people have to say, offer some advice. They take the advice, and then they come back to me for the ones who did, and they're like, man, I never thought of it that way. And when I did the thing that you said, it actually changed and solved the thing I was looking for. And I was like, wait, what? So in all of my sales career, I've been taught how to solve problems, right? The goal is to solve problems, but you have to really listen to people to understand how you can solve their problem. And so now fast forward into the credit management space. So we help people with managing their credit reports all in and all through. So no credit and you need to build it, we're your people. You have bad credit and you need to fix it, we're your people. You have decent credit, but you want some tips and tricks and hey, how can I build here? Am I missing anything here? Can I squeeze some more points out here? We're your people. So we manage files of all high scores, low scores, no scores, doesn't matter. Because my goal and initiative has become through these experiences to say what causes the most divorce, what causes families to separate, what is causing people to be the most stressed out and have anxiety and depression, and it's finances. And I had my own situation, which we may or may not get into depending on the time, but um, I can just tell you this: I'm qualified to help because I've been there. And then I've hired enough people, not that it was a standard, but I hired enough people that in our interview had similar experiences. So I already knew if I can show them the other way, they would be qualified to help the people who come across our company. So and that's pretty much it for me, man.
One of the things that well, it's not it for you though, dude. Because here's the thing: you and I connect on a story that I shared from stage, which was I remember in middle school sitting down and having my vice principal go, "You're never going to make it, kid." And that was like my mom. You're either going to prove them right or prove them wrong. And I'm like, I'm reading your bio. I actually went through and looked up some of your like all like this article in a magazine called Reader, and you got like all this stuff out there. It's pretty cool. So if you guys want to Google him, he's a badass. But it's like you had the same thing. It's like you're not going to do it, and it's like no, no, no. Anything is possible. Like tell me about that, like that shift where it's like no, 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 no. Watch me.
Yeah. So that's kind of this dark energy in a sense that I really thrive on. I don't know too many people that operate on it or operate on it well. I'm still even learning myself, but I'm a very competitive person. So and it was funny because that's how we started talking. And when it comes to competing, I think too many people take it the wrong way. They understand the competitiveness to be you have to tear other people down, you have to shit on other people. And I think it's the complete opposite. Because when you get two really competitive people going head to head and they're in the same industry, what winds up happening is overall you make each other better. So there's this, like, and I would never say it to any of my competitors, but there is a gratitude aspect from, like, when I see they do something better than me, my first thought is like, this motherfucker, man, really? All right. And I get all fired up. But then I learn
Yeah.
how to channel that getting fired up to say, okay, they beat me in something, but I'm not here to match it. I'm here to compete. And overall, the winner of those competitions is neither myself or my competitors. It's the clients who come across either company, right? So that is the big piece of it. When I started understanding, if I compete to get better and I check what other people do, and I always want to one up them, as far as think about the things we're one upping. How do we get better results? How do we make clients happier? How do we keep them more informed? How is that a bad thing? So understanding what you're competing for really helps majorly you be okay with the thought of competing, as long as you understand what you're actually competing for.
Right. And being able to differentiate yourself through that competition, being able to go, this is what I can do that's unique. The more unique stuff you come up with, the more people are going to copy you, which then means you got to come up with something else. You got to innovate. I love that. So, talk a little bit more about like that competition mindset, about really stepping things up and being the best and elevating that space.
Yeah. So who does anything, like literally any, what, a job change, a career change, maybe you have a fitness goal, whatever it is, who at any high level that competes at a high level says, you know what, I'm really excited to be third place. Like, that doesn't even sound right. That doesn't even process correctly. How are you going to have information you put out to people, and why would you want to be second string or third string? There is absolutely nothing wrong with saying, I want to be the absolute best at what it is that I do. So obviously I'll use my industry as example, but anybody who's listening, apply it to your industry because this is universal. So the overall goal for us is to help people understand our process, feel like they've underpaid for a service that they got, meaning they got a whole lot more value than what it was cost. So we got to be fair, making sure that our customer service is good. Now, where does that all come from? Again, the benefit is to the client, but even more benefit personally, you start to develop yourself better because the person you are today versus the competing version of yourself changes. And if you have a family, whether it's a spouse, whether it's kids, whether it's your parents, your grandparents, it doesn't matter who it is. Whoever is close to you that loves you, when they start seeing that shift in you, this ripple effect starts to develop where you start forcing them to want to be better. I can tell you this. Let's take it off business for a second because this applies to everything in your life. When I started taking fitness more serious, so did my wife, and neither of us were out of shape, right? Started taking eating healthier more serious, she started doing the same thing. And then you know what that ripple effect into our kids. So then our kids are coming home and they're saying, "Oh, are you going to the gym today? Oh, can I go to the gym with you today? Oh, can I try to pick up that weight?" Our 12-year-old and our 8-year-old. So now we're setting the example within the household to show them how to be a better performing person, because don't you feel your best when you're in the best shape and when you stick to your diet? Don't you feel your best when your clothes are fresh and new and washed and clean? And don't you feel your best when you know you're putting in the work? And then when do you usually feel the worst? When you did say, All right, screw it. I'll get fast food this time. Okay, screw it. I'll reply to this email tomorrow when I know I have the time to do it today. When you start procrastinating and putting things off, is when you start to go on the downward spiral. So for me, the competition is necessary because how I think of things is every time I don't feel like doing something, which this is all the magic, guys, and all the courses and all the stuff that people sell. I'm gonna tell you right now, this is the magic. The magic or the secret formula is just do things when you don't feel like doing them. If you could put your emotional state to the side and still perform the action day after day after day after day, you will get significantly ahead of anybody who does what you do. And then when you look back, you're going to be like, holy shit, I did that. And so I thrive in every time I don't feel like doing something, I think of those people that I'm in competition with. And some don't even know it. I make my own things. Sometimes I see people and I'm like, fuck that guy. And he could be a great dude. He could be an absolute great dude. Doesn't matter. I'm in this internal competition because I thrive on that. So when I see, wow, he looks better than me, or wow, he speaks better than me. Oh, he does this better than me. Now I'm not going trying to sabotage this dude's life. I'm taking what I acknowledge is what he's doing better, and then I apply it to myself, which does what? Makes me better. And then when my kids and my wife and everybody around me sees that, they take that and it makes them better. So it's all about making people better. It's not about tearing people down. So if you can shift your mindset about, I compete to inspire people. I compete to set a standard. I compete to be at my best ability so I can take care of the people around me and up their game and up their standards. Well, now you'll love competing because it's not even about you anymore. You understand it's about all the people around you that you started to make better.
Right. I absolutely love that. Like it was such a huge shift for me when I started thinking it's like the competition is setting the standard for what my daughter's going to do. Because we talked about the whole health and fitness thing when we were at the event.
Yep.
And it's like I know that because I mean I lost 100 pounds. I'm still on my weight loss journey. But while I'm out there and I'm exercising, one day I was looking for my daughter. I didn't know where she went. She went out to the garage and she was on the rowing machine and she was doing rowing. She's 3 years old, but she's modeling it. It's like I didn't have that model. It's recognizing when you start to compete as far as ideas and innovation. It's like a lot of the innovations, like as we're talking, like Boeing is a great example. I used to be an engineer for Boeing, and it's like, how did we innovate? Well, we looked at what other people were doing and what are they doing and how do we be better, and what are they doing and how do we be better, and it's like that the competition that we derive, that pleasure from being the best and beating everyone else, also derives from we are raising the standard globally for what this industry is, for raising the standard globally. Globally can be like globally in the world, but globally in our world. Our
Mm-hmm.
people were elevating the standard. Our people were elevating their lives. Our people were getting it better. So most of the people who are watching this are probably in the real estate world, just because right now that's majority of my audience. And it's like right now, you got to differentiate yourself. The market is filled. There's huge competition, and there's a lot of things going right now. So what are you doing to be the best? What are you doing to be the best version of you? And who are you watching? Are you watching the people you want to be like? And instead of trying to be like them, ask, how can I beat them?
Yep.
Because in doing so, you're going to raise the game for the industry and the standard as a whole.
Yeah. So here's another way to look at it, especially realtors, lenders, anybody in the real estate industry. Look up the amount of licenses that are active in your area. I'll give you an example. So, like in San Antonio, it was like 14 or 15,000, right? And so that's a lot. Now, I think of the people that are like seriously active, it's somewhere in the high 2000s, somewhere between like 2,800, maybe up to 3,000, who knows. But still, in one city, that's a lot of people to compete with. Now, I'll give you this because of your audience. This might be a little offensive, but good because you need to hear it. Being available all the time and being a hard worker does not cut it for you being different. It just doesn't. Saying you work harder than the next agent and that you're more available than the next agent does not make you unique to the client, because really think about what you said. If you're working harder than the client, then how are you or than the last realtor, then how are you more available? If you're working harder, how are you more available? Now, you may say, well, Dylan, because I work smart, not hard. No, you don't. Nope. Don't lie to yourself and say that, because I say that too. And then I get that reality check when I find out that my competitor, which in your case could be an agent on your team, an agent in your brokerage, an agent in a competing brokerage that is doing better than you. And if you think that you are at the top of the game, you need to check the numbers again, because in your guys' position, I would argue that you do much more than just the transactional piece. So, like when people introduce themselves to me and they're in real estate, they'll say, I'm a realtor, I'm a real estate agent. They identify themselves with the transactional piece or the title of who they are. I would encourage you to start introducing yourself based on the outcome of the services you provide. So if you start doing that, it'll completely change how people see you. Now you're setting a different tone, but then you got to act it, right? It's one thing to say it, but now you got to show up. You caught their attention. You're different right now. What are you going to do after that?
Give them an example. What would that sound like from a title introduction?
Yeah. So, for example, when you're saying like, I'm a realtor, I help people with buying, selling, or your advertisement, your social media is I help people buy, sell, and invest. No. Think of those stories that matter most to you. Think of the closings. Excuse me. I was doing a lot of talking today. That's better. So think of the closings that you've had recently. Think of the ones that touched your heart. Think of the ones that put you in the emotional state that you rarely get into. Think of the single mom who you were able to finally get out of that nasty apartment and into a brand new house, building equity and having money to bring out later. Think of the veteran that you helped that maybe was homeless a year ago, started working on their stuff. Think of the people who were divorced, or think of the happy times. Think of the person who wanted to accept this new role at a new job, let's say in the medical field, and they couldn't accept it unless they lived within a certain distance of the new hospital. So you literally help someone increase their income and further their career by helping them get a home, which also happens to be in the district of the school that they really wanted their kids to attend, not the one they had to settle for because they had to go off their old salary. Now, how do you sum that up? Instead of just saying, I help people buy, sell, and invest, when somebody says, what do you do? Well, hey, I help growing families live in a comfortable home. I help people who do want to invest their money into real estate, um, build wealth, build a portfolio, whatever it is that you specialize in. I love helping veterans find a home because 33% of our veterans are homeless right now. So, or 33% of the homeless are veterans. So, I'm on a mission right now to help more people. Less than 15% of veterans even know that they can use their VA home loan and how it works. So, my job is to educate more veterans because I'm tired of seeing homeless vets on the street when they should be living in a home to own a piece of the country that they defended. There's so many different
Love
ways
that.
that you can tie it.
Yeah, it's like, so what do you do? I educate people. I educate people on the home buying process. I educate people on the market. I educate people. People think they know what's going on, but the news doesn't give them the real story. And what I do is I help them understand so they can make smart investment decisions for themselves and their family. That's another example of what you're describing. It's like, what's the result that you give them versus what's the title you have? And I love that. I love that.
Yep. The title means nothing. It's how you serve the people and how they feel. Like we all know about the know, like, and trust. Well, how are they going to take time to know, like, and trust you if the only thing you told them is you can help them buy, sell, and invest? That's not enough.
Right.
You're in the people business. You're not in the real estate business, believe it or not. You're in the business of
So
serving
one of
people
the
with problems.
Yes, that. So one of the things you talked about, you said it's really simple. Just do the thing you don't feel like doing, and that's simple for us, but it's a challenge for a lot of people. And it's interesting to always hear different people's perspectives that have that energy of like, if you don't feel like doing it, do it. How? How do you coach or mentor or teach people? It's like if you don't feel like doing it, how do you do it?
Two ways. Number one, you have to build the disciplines. So it starts with the small things at home. And you may have heard this before, so it may be a reminder. And if it's the first time you're hearing it, I'm glad you're hearing it. Look at the things that you have to do for the day and don't overplan your day. Some people get super motivated by things like this and they think, okay, on my schedule tomorrow, I'm going to write out these 27 things because I'm going to have a huge day. I don't want you to have a huge day. I want you to pick either 3 things or 5 things and start there. And there's going to be days that you finish those 3 to 5 tasks by 10 a.m. And then the rest of the day is yours. There's going to be other days where those 3 to 5 tasks, if you do them right, you may not be done until midnight. But that means you go until midnight. You do not stop until those 3 to 5 tasks are done. And it's not the small things like, man, I'm gonna do the dishes today. Well, you should already be doing the dishes. Don't be nasty, right? I'm not talking about those things. I'm talking about needle moving activities, which by the way can count into your fitness. So I don't care how in shape you are or out of shape you are. I would start there. I would start with, now I'm not saying go to the gym 7 days a week, but make a commitment. I'm going to start going 3 days a week for 30 minutes. And you're going to do these things. And on the days that you're not going to the gym, find other needle moving activities that will keep you active. Because I can tell you this, when you start changing your physical state, like if you're in this slump and you don't feel like doing anything, when you get up and you change your physical state, well, then your blood starts flowing, chemicals start going, and you actually start to create like your own endorphins, your own dopamine. Like you start creating this energy around you because we're energy and vibrations. So you start creating all of this momentum. And then when you ride the wave of momentum, just don't stop doing the things that got you there. So maybe you start with fitness, maybe you start eating a little bit healthier. It's the small things. Hey, I've been meaning to clean out the garage and I've been saying I'm going to do it, but I didn't do it. Okay, well, starting tomorrow, that's going to be on your that's going to be on your calendar to do. You have to organize your day, start with 3 to 5 things, and you will build the momentum to where one day you can increase to 6 if you want. But honestly, I wouldn't even go past that because you're not as busy as you think you are. So let's make this on a professional level. I'm a real estate agent. So what things should I be doing? Yes, you can say cold calling, but you have to be specific when you're building these things too. So you can't just say, "Oh, I'm going to start cold calling," and then you do 2 calls, both go to voicemail, and then you're just like, "Okay, I did cold calling for the day." You have to be specific with the outcome of these things. So I'm going to do 100 calls today. I need to make sure that I get physically on the phone with somebody, at least 10 people. If the goal is to physically talk to 10 people, it doesn't matter if it took 300 calls or 100 calls or the first 10 calls to do that. Once you hit it, the next day, the next day, the next day, and it has to be the things that you don't like to do because all of that missing success or that gap that you're looking for, and how come I'm not here when I should be here because I feel I should be here, it's hiding in all of the things you don't want to do. So I hate cold calling. Boom, that goes on the list. I hate door knocking. Boom, that goes on the list. I hate following up the Zillow leads because I feel like they're not as good as what somebody told me. Good, go follow up with those. Man, there's this one client I really don't feel like calling because he chews my ear off when I'm on the phone. Good, that's going to be the first call that you do. You need to start the day with the things you don't want to do because then the rest of your day becomes easier. And if it's organized in 3 to 5 tasks every single day, you will start to run out of things that you need to do. And then you're going to have this massive momentum, and it's a lot easier for you to start doing the higher level things. All you have to do is start. Grit it out, don't quit. And it is physically impossible for you not to build the momentum you need to get further than where you are today.
That's so powerful. That is such an amazing concept and way to look at it. It's like we talk about starting small. We talk about that idea of like, don't start by doing a workout. Start by going to the gym. Go to the
Yep.
gym and then walk away. But go to the gym every day, and eventually you'll go, "Why the hell am I at the gym if I'm not going to work out?" Like build those habits. And I love what you're talking about because it's building the habit of doing the thing that's uncomfortable. It's building the habit of facing it, which is really it's empowering yourself to be able to differentiate between feeling and action. And Yeah, I think that's powerful. There's a concept a lot of people talk about, and I'm running this by you because I think it's important. Because a lot of people go, yeah, but you need to learn to listen to your intuition. You need to listen to your feelings. That drives, and maybe it's God, or maybe it's the universe, or maybe it's something telling you you shouldn't, or whatever. And I think you and I kind of chuckle about this because it's like, well, the question is it your intuition, God, or is it your baggage? Which one
Yep.
is it? Because that feeling you have, you hit that. It's like, I don't want to do the cold calling. Is it because cold calling isn't a aligned process for you to achieve your results, or is it because you fear rejection and you're scared to death that the other person on the phone is going to do something? Like, how do you differentiate that? It's like, well, first put in the effort, see if it works, and if it doesn't, take that as feedback. And that's one of the things you talked about a lot, is like, you got to incorporate feedback in everything that you do. You want to talk a little bit about feedback and incorporating feedback?
Yeah. So when you start doing these things, right? So now you're sitting here, you're taking some notes, and you're like, all right, got to build momentum, got it. Got to do the stuff I don't want to do, got it. Well, if you don't document it to go back and find out how you've done and give an honest assessment, how do you ever know how to adjust? Because that's where that whole definition of insanity comes in. If you just constantly do it over and over again, and before you start that call, you start with, man, I really hate cold calling. All right, let me dial. How do you think that's going to go? Right? Rather than, hey, I sucked like 5 days ago at cold calling, but I'm 300 calls deep. And right now, I can't lose because the last three people set an appointment. This is awesome. How do you think that call is going to go? Completely different than the one when you start with, I hate cold calling. But here's the reality, you have to do it. Your first 100 calls might suck, but I promise call 50 through 100 is already going to be better than call 1 through 10. It's building the momentum and doing it. Now, when it comes to getting the feedback, you have to be ready to take the feedback. You have to take all of your ego down because there's way too much ego with us doing things. If you can remove the ego and be open minded, you can take feedback very well. And we think we know everything. I'm telling you, we don't. And it doesn't matter if someone's in your industry, it doesn't matter if they're a client. You need to be able to accept feedback, but don't just tell people, hey, I'd love to know what I could do better. And then they go and they tell you, and you say, oh, great, thank you. And then behind the scenes, you're like, they don't know what they're talking about because I do this and I do that. You have to drop it. When feedback comes in, that is your opportunity on how to get better. And sometimes we receive feedback through clients, right? And that could be a negative review. Before you get ready to jump down that client's throat and defend yourself, read what they say and understand, man, do I really have an opportunity here? Because the client who is the most pissed off at you is going to be the one who's going to tell you the most truth about you and about their experience. It doesn't matter what you meant to do, it's about the perception of the client and how you made them feel. And remember, you're in the people business. So I remember when I would first start getting reviews, I'd be pissed off. And the first thing I'd go do is find all the things we did right, they did wrong. So I could throw back at them what they did wrong to say, okay, we didn't do this and we didn't do this, but here's the list of things you didn't do. That's not a good experience. And then you never grow from that. So we've had clients say things all the time. Again, I'll give you my reference. When a client's like, hey, we're upset because they didn't call me as much as I thought they were going to. Whether I agreed or disagreed, I started asking better questions. Well, hey, what was your expectation? How many times do you think we should be contacting you? Because I learned something from that client. And then we started changing how much we communicate with other people. And then I realized I'd rather someone be upset that I over communicate than under communicate. So actually, I have that client to thank for stepping up to the plate and being bold enough to care enough about themselves and actually, believe it or not, care enough about me to say, you need to hear what my experience is with you. So anytime anybody gives you feedback, whether it's professionally, whether it's personally, whether it's in a relationship, it doesn't matter. If you can change how you think and accept feedback, I actually look for it. I thrive and get ready. Like when somebody tells me that I did too many things too good, I'm like, stop it. You get there. Did I breathe? Did I pause it? There has to be something. Give me something that I can do better because I actually respect the person who tells me what I could do better more than the person who just tells me I do everything great, because now you're not contributing an opportunity for me to grow. And we need to grow as people in order to serve more people, because it is not a one size fits all. We have to be the chameleon to adapt to people, but you can never do that until you accept criticism and feedback from people.
Right. And it's so important that you take both the good and the bad, because the good feedback also tells you what to keep doing right.
Yep.
And it's important to have both of that. So one of the things, again, I want to thank you so much for your time today. This has been so incredible. I've really enjoyed the conversation. Like I said, majority of my people who are watching are probably going to be real estate agents, and you have a company that does a kick-ass job in credit repair, better than almost any that I've seen out there. And you don't work just in one area. Like you can do stuff nationwide with people. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we could do it anywhere.
Okay. So how can people find you? How can people connect with you, both as a motivational speaker, because you're a kick-ass speaker, but also with your company if they are looking for clients? You're like, hey, my clients, they need help. How can they start to do that on both sides?
Yeah. So the best way, if you want to check us out on the credit side, they would go to jameswarrengroupinc.com, or they could go to disputeeagle.com. Because the reason that there's two names, James Warren Group, that is our primary company that has built everything. So that is where even the speaking really came from, because I've done so many credit classes. So that is the done for you service, where if you want to hire our company to handle everything for you or for your clients, that's where you want to connect with. Dispute Eagle is our sister company. We launched that last year. That is our do it yourself software, because we've built everything, all of our systems and processes, in order to serve people in every way that they are comfortable. Because, agents, I want you to think about this for a second. When you have a client who has been denied, but they're not comfortable talking with somebody who does credit repair because they have some trust issues. Maybe they don't have the money for it. Maybe they went to someone else before and they had a bad experience. Well, if you were to send them to us, we're not going to pressure them to say, hey, the only way to solve your problem is through us. We'll offer them Dispute Eagle and say, hey, if you're open to creating your own letters, our software will do it within a couple clicks of a button. It'll be in your email. You just print it out and mail it out. Then you're saving the money of somebody like us who would charge to handle it for you. Or if you have those busier clients that say, hey, I have the money, but I don't have the time, James Warren Group is going to be a good fit. And we have an affiliate portal. So think of it like a free CRM for you on both the Dispute Eagle and the James Warren Group side. So it's easy to refer people over, and it's easy to track the progress to see who signed up, who didn't sign up. You can request all the conversations we've had with your client for review. You can see any progress that is being made, what we're disputing, what we're working on, because we want to be open and transparent with you guys who are going to trust us with your clients.
That's awesome. Thank you, man. And if they want to connect with you, are they able to find you on social too?
Yes. So if you want to connect with me personally, Facebook and Instagram. I use Facebook the most. I'm getting better at Instagram. My wife is yelling at me for not using it that much. But if you go to Facebook, is just my name. So it's Dylan. Last name is Shively. I'm sure we'll drop it in here somewhere. And then on Instagram, it is credit coach period Dylan. And that's how you find me on Instagram. I actually have we're working on the website. It's almost done and ready for launch, where it'll just be dylanshively.com. It's not live yet, but probably in the next few weeks it will. And then that'll be the one place everyone can go to and just find everything of what we're doing, including going on podcasts. If you want to book me for any speaking engagements for your brokerage or anywhere, I have a whole list of things that I teach and go over. Reference back to social media boot camp. You guys will see posts over the next few weeks of that. I'm here to serve anybody who wants to get better. I love being in a room full of people who want to get better, who want to do more, who want to grow, because I get to learn in those rooms too. So that's the best for me.
Awesome, Dylan. Thank you so much. Dylan is he is one of the best leaders I know, always giving from the heart. And every time I've interacted with him, both at the Pipes event, at his event, but even beyond that, just in the text messages and the conversations. I mean, today, guys, I texted him and said, "Hey, do you want to hop on?" And he moved things around in his calendar to make time for this. And it's like he will do whatever he can to help, and he will move mountains for you. So if you get a chance, definitely connect with him. Dylan, thank you so much for your time and energy. I appreciate it. And we will talk soon. Thanks, man.
Thanks, man. Thank you again.
Yep.